The Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.
Welcome to one of the greatest shows on earth. This is the Great Debaters Contest, Eldoret edition, and I'm your host, Austin Nyumbok. Our motion today is Africa should adopt the one-child policy in order to control population growth. We have Wareng High School going against Loreto Matunda, and who will take the motion, who will take the debate, I really don't know. Proposer number one, you have 3 minutes.
Let's observe a moment of silence. Gone are the days when children used to be a source of wealth and security. I'm tired of seeing my future being spoiled. I'm Regina Waweru. That leads me to my first point. Yes, Africa should adopt a one-child policy. You know why? Because unemployment has been rampant due to overpopulation. In a recent research study, it showed that 1.4 million people in Nairobi alone are unemployed. And out of the employed, 1.5 million is self-employed in the informal sector. Overall unemployment in Kenya, or rather Nairobi, stands at 14.7%. If you think of it, if you decide to have more than one child, don't you think the others are going to miss opportunities to get employed? My second point, underdevelopment. The current population in Africa is over 114 million. Out of this, Kenya alone has a population of over 40 million. And yet, we are still considered as the third world countries. Don't you think if we adopt this policy of one child, we're going to be developed? My third point, inadequate food supply. Recently, we're having a problem with food supply because of the large population that we have in our country. And definitely, this is not in Kenya alone, but in African countries. If we adopt a one-child policy in Africa, I'm sure we will be able to feed each and every person. I'm sure the government is going to be able to provide resources in the country. I will talk of overcrowding. If we get more than one child, the country gets overcrowded. Listed is Kenya, having the largest slum because of overcrowding. We call it Soweto in Nairobi. Don't you think if we adopt a one-child policy, we're going to reduce overcrowding? And we definitely know if people are overcrowded, there's poor housing, there's poor health facilities. Personally, I think we should adopt a one-child policy to avoid all these problems. We talk of environmental degradation. If you look at environmental degradation, there's pollution, there's deforestation. Meaning, if people give birth to more than one child, we have to cut down trees for people to have where to live. People ought to consider that. Thank you.
First proposer, you have 3 minutes.
Fellow Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen, I want to involve you in a small activity here. I want you to try and swallow your saliva and breathe at the same time. I know, it's quite impossible. Now, try to do both of them coordinating. Quite impossible. If you try to battle with nature, nature will always have a chance and an equal opportunity to fight back. I am Jeff Gerald from Wareng High School, here to strongly oppose the motion that states Africa should adopt the one-child policy in order to control population. Did you know that human capitalism pays? We have a number of facts. For example, 30% of Kenyans are actually living outside Kenya, in other outside countries. We have people who are exported to other countries to work. For example, if I can quote recently, we have people coming from China to come and build for us the standard gauge railway. This leads me to my point. Human capital is a resource that can be imported and exported also. Once you give birth, don't look at the mouth that you're feeding. Remember, you have 2 hands at hand. I quote, don't look at the one mouth you're feeding. Remember, look at the 2 hands that are working. Listening is better, it's better than speaking. You listen small, you talk more, you gain nothing. That's why we are given 1 mouth and 2 ears. The same reason we are given 2 hands to work with to feed the extra mouth. When we stop looking at people giving birth, we look at various things in our world today. First being human rights. And this leads me to my second point. It opens a window for human rights abuse. Most women will be forced to abort. People will undergo jail terms, and others will be forced to go to exile, to exit the country because you don't have any other choice to look upon. I wonder, we have ladies in the house, right? Yeah. How will it feel if a policy forces you to abort a child? It's very painful. We have fathers in the house, future fathers and current fathers. How will you feel when a woman you've worked hard with is forced to abort? Very painful. So, have second thoughts. From here, my second team player is going to elaborate further. Thank you.
Proposition, may we have the second proposer take the stage? You have 3 minutes for your rebuttal.
A great philosopher, Mick Jagger, once said that you can't always get what you want. I want to defy this by saying you can get what you want. My name is Jiwa Lumina, and I am proposing the motion that says Africa should adopt a one-child policy. This is why. First things first. You know, he says that human capital can be imported. What is the purpose of fighting for independence when we can import people to work for us? You know, if every family has one child, it improves the better lives. You know, all the attention, all the finances of the family are on you, increasing your chances to succeed. That is a fact. Meaning, these people will be able to get better job opportunities. The opposers also say that your hands are the ones which will help you work to feed your family. Let me ask a question. Those hands you're working with, how will they be able to sustain someone if they're not generating enough income? You know, there's no way you can say that a family should have more than one child. That is around 12 children, and then you cannot fend for them. People will die of hunger. The family will, there are not enough resources to cater for all these children. And look at our country's situation. For the first thing, we have the largest slum in the whole continent. That is just to say, and we have also the largest refugee camp. You know, if we were able to adopt a one-child policy, we wouldn't need foreign aid because our country would be able to get enough resources to help these people instead of depending on other people. Another point is, you're saying that the women would feel bad when they were made to abort their children. If the law is put there in the first place, you should organize yourself in order to avoid such circumstances. When you organize yourself not to get more than one child after you've gotten it, you won't undergo the whole process of your heartbreaking, hurt feelings about your child because you would have been prepared. Let me add by saying, if we adopt a one-child policy, the country will have less competition because if we have quality, quality instead of quantity, if every single person has achieved a lot because of the better lives they've been given, they will have better opportunities. We won't have to import human capital, as he said. We won't have to get Chinese people to work for us because we'll have our own specialists who have gotten the right kind of education. That is all I have. Gio Lumina, Loreto Covent.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes for your rebuttal.
My opponent has spoken about if we have one kid, the wealth will increase. But I beg to differ. Look at the family of the Kardashians, the Clintons. Clinton has only one child, Chelsea. But how damn stinking rich she is. Look at the Kardashians, 5 children or so. But still, they are swimming in money. Secondly, I want to pick up from where my colleague Jeff left. He said that women, when they get children and you're attached from your child, you're going to undergo psychological trauma and all that. I am a lady, I am a woman. One day I'll be a mother. I don't want to be separated from my child. I want to bond with my child. From the time I get that child, when I breastfeed that child, that's it. This leads me to my first point. When we introduce the one-child policy, it shall be an infringement on personal freedom. I feel quite uncomfortable talking about this even right here. We shall be invading into bedroom privacy. I'm so uncomfortable talking about this. How can the government be so comfortable introducing a policy that is attached to bedroom issues? It's just not right. Also, who told you I want to have a kid? I just want to enjoy my life, be the girl I want to be. I don't have to have kids. Also, if we introduce the one-child policy, these children who grow up into one-child family, I'm an only child in my family, they become pampered, spoiled, they become spoiled brats. How many of you are an only child in their family? By show of hands? Beautiful. A very large number, in fact. Are you pampered? I think you are, because you're in grade schools. Those uniform, they really send a message to me. Also, it will be going against the law of nature and also the law of religion. Come on, in the Bible, it says that the Lord gave us the ability, He gave us the authority to go out there, fill the earth, and subdue it. Then why should some person out here who is created by the same God, who released the same rule, come and go against it, start saying that we should have one-child policy and all that stuff? I'm totally against it. We should feel the earth. We should have children. We should feel the earth. Candy Kolum, Wareng High School.
Thank you very much for your questions. Now, the proposition have been asked, in the case of abortion, what happens if somebody has twins? And the opposition have been asked whether we should fill the earth indiscriminately. Now you have the third proposer take the stage to answer the questions.
Religion is a belief. Yes, I do not disagree with it. But what is the essence of filling the earth, as you say, and when these children who will be born sleep hungry, and this will later on lead to death? So what is the use of giving birth to children just for them to die in future? Georgina Nanjala, Loreto Covent. In the case where we have twins, we cannot disagree with nature. That is it. But also, this will be helping some women in some way, because let's face it, some women are barren. They need children, but they cannot get children. So when you get twins, and because of the one-child policy, some women will be benefiting from that in a way. You say that, my opposer said that, 2 hands, people have 2 hands. There's no way you can have 2 hands and not provide for the number of children. Yes, you have 2 hands, but we are so populated in Africa that the number of jobs are not enough for all of us. So yes, you have 2 hands, but what are you going to do with those 2 hands when yet you have no jobs? How are you going to provide for your 5 children, yet there are no jobs because of the population, because you support people giving birth to more than 1 children? How are you going to do that? These children who are born in this one-child policy will have many advantages. Take it this way. Most parents, because of this one child, like for example, China, they adopted the one-child policy. They have jobs. They have a lot of jobs. In fact, they have job positions that are empty. That means the rate of employment is high. So these children who are born in a one-child policy country get many advantages, such as they go to the best schools because their parents will have money because the rate of employment is high. They will go to the best schools, get the best education, have better understanding of things in life, and later on will be very successful. They also gain love from their parents because you are alone. All the attention of your parents is on you. But in a case where we are 5 children, my parents loves so-and-so because she's better in school, she's hardworking, and I am the child who doesn't like doing such things. Most of the time, this child who is, let's say, who is not like the rest, will be discriminated by the parents and the siblings. And most of the love will go to one child to the other children. But in a case where you're the only child, undivided attention from your parents is yours alone on you. So these children grow up being confident because they know they have the love of their parents. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes to answer the question.
The same God gave us temperance. And when we say we have temperance, we'll come to understand the word subdue the earth. That's when we learn about how to subdue, we will control our birth rates, we will control even how we give birth to our children. And one thing that I want to say, this mind that God gave us, we should use it to know that I am rich, maybe I can sustain 5 children. You are an average person, you can sustain 2, but someone is very peasant, maybe can even sustain 1, and thus can give an understanding instead of just enacting a law and say that in Africa we should have a one-child policy. I'm a 5th born at our home, and when I was born, my mom gave me the name Downvins. It's an English name. But later, she came and called me Opio, which means a twin. I'm a twin. And so, I'm seriously opposing this motion with pity, because if this did not happen, I will not be here opposing it and making it as an understanding. Another thing I want to tell you, brothers and sisters, maybe, what do you think if we have alternatives to this? This economic value that we are using to embrace this law, why should you use it to these young people or to the immediate affected when that law goes through? And the immediate affected, you can tell him or her, this is the kind of the child you can manage. This is the kind of person you can bring about by. Yeah, very many great people, including His Excellency, our President Uhuru Kenyatta, from Mamangina, he's the 2nd born. Did you know that? Okay, let me tell you, my opponents, development is not only hindered by population, but very many things. We can learn from our giants, which is China. China, in the year 1979, they brought about this law, which could just put place to someone that you should have this number of children. But trust me, in the year 2015, this law was going down and even down because now China is a developed country and that law is no more. And in that perspective, think of countries like Sweden. Sweden needs a higher birth rate because the largest population is composed of the old people. And these old people, surely, they are gone. The lifespan. Let's say if, for example, everyone there is 60, according to the biblical lifespan is 70, so they will be all gone 10 years to come. As I leave, I just want to leave you with an advice to think of this, other than just embracing this law. Sometimes you can be desperate, once tells and looking for advice, one tells you go to hell, and you seriously park and look forward to the destination. Why? Thank you.
Proposition, you have 1 minute to make your final submission.
We are all misinterpreting the Bible. We have to look at the circumstance at which God said the words, "Go forth and multiply and subdue the earth." It was only the Garden of Eden, Eve and Adam. Was there poverty? Was there unemployment? Was there the rate of starvation that we have today? There was nothing like that. Those circumstances were very different because God was providing everything for Adam and Eve. Then we have to accept that we have unequal opportunities. We aren't all born rich, so you can't give us an example of Kardashians and Bill Clinton, for crying out loud, and tell us that you can compare the poorest person to them. This is Africa. You know, we are a third world country, and we should accept that, and we should learn to take steps to develop this country further. That is why we cannot compare Africa to China. Even in 1,000 years, my friend, will we reach that place? So when we adopt a one-child policy, we are able to get all this because that one child, all resources will be going to that child, and the population that we're having today in the slums will be lessened.
Opposition, you have 1 minute for your final submission.
I can clearly quote, "We are Africans. African men are last." I want to quote a music group by the name Sauti Sol. They sang a song called Nerea. I quote, "Mungu akiupa mtoto anakupea na sahani yake." Kiswahili to mean, if God gives you a child, He has a destiny for it. Ladies and gentlemen, let us think here. If I was not born, if there was that policy in my family, I could not be the Jeff standing here greatly debating about this motion. This is Africa. As she has said, this is Africa. We live with cultures and traditions that must be followed. We have wife inheritance. Having children is wealth. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us be realistic about this. You cannot control a man's and woman's lust. Thank you.
Loreto Covent. The first proposer, Regina. Remember, we've come to be entertained as well as to be educated. And you are a bit too serious, though you had the facts. And we thank you for that. So go and look at that. The rest of you in that team could see some passion in the second proposer and the third proposer. That was very good. Go and put in more. Thank you.
Wareng, a very strong team. One thing I see, you always work together. That's why I keep referring to each other. Yes, Jeff says, Candy, as Candy said, Candy says. As Opio said, that's a very good thing. It shows unity. That's how a debate should be worked on together so that you're able to help each other win. You had a good introduction, Jeff. Topic clearly stated, points well illustrated. But still, we didn't focus on how else can we control the population. Candy, yeah, you gave good examples, nice point on personal choices when it comes to giving birth to children, and also your argument was convincing. Opio, always making us smile, a good debate apart from convincing. Thank you, that was a good one.
Loreto Covent Girls Matunda, the judges awarded you 64%. Please give them a round of applause. Wareng High School, the judges saw it fit to award you 71%. You're our winners for the debate. Well done to Wareng High School, and also congratulations to Loreto Matunda. We'd also like to thank you, our studio audience, for being very active. Our viewers back home, keep watching. Follow the conversation, hashtag GDC for SDGs. I have been your host, Austin Yombok. Thank you for watching.
Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.